Hey folks, welcome back. In the last video, we took this stave and we reduced the thickness of these limbs and got them bending. Typically, the next step is going to be moving into the tillering process. But before we start tillering this bow, I want to get the limbs straightened out in a few places so that the tillering process will be a little bit easier and the bow will be aesthetically a little bit better to look at. Right in here, this limb starts deflexing back this way, and then it's got a reflex here that comes back forward. And I actually like the reflex, but I don't like the deflex look. One of the things I recommend is you make a form for this. You want to get the part that you're bending right where the form starts to curve down. I'm going to slide this up a little bit, and right about there is where we're going to do our first heat adjustment. There's a couple different ways to heat these. The other method is to actually steam it, so you can put your bow over a pot of boiling water with some tin foil covering it, and that steam will get the bow up to 212 degrees, and then you can bend it afterwards. I don't like that method personally. I know it works really well. I prefer using dry heat. I've got this cheap little heat gun I bought off the internet. Let's get started. Sometimes it's easy to lose concentration of exactly where your bend needs to be and where you need to apply most of the heat. One trick I like to use is to just mark that spot. When you're applying heat to the limb, you want to make sure you're not too close. What that's going to do is get the outside of that wood extremely hot, and it will scorch it while the inside won't be warm yet. Now, one thing I'll warn you about is if you get the back of the bow too hot, you will make it brittle and your bow will be worthless. So do not heat the back of the bow. You always want to make your heat application with dry heat to the belly. One thing you can do is kind of get down on the side and just eyeball it. See if it looks straight to you. Doesn't have to be perfect. So right now that is way too hot to hold my hand on. We're gonna let that completely cool off, and then we'll pull the clamps off of it. This is completely cooled off now. I'm gonna release the clamp and see if we made progress. And sure enough, that didn't really come back at all. This spot right here that was bent upwards is now straight. So you can see that's just a really big improvement. This stave has a little bit of character to it. It's kind of wavy. I'm not going to take all those out. You don't want to take those out. It'd be too much. And they look good. Having a little bit of wavy character in there isn't a bad thing. It's the big bends that we're wanting to take care of. And as far as I can see, I've only got one more that needs to come out. And that's right here on this section. If you guys don't let it get warm enough and you start to bend this, you will get tension cracks in the belly. And basically the wood's not going to be flexible enough yet, and when you start forcing it, especially if you come on here with clamps and force it, that wood will just split and separate. Overall, the limb is in good shape. It's pretty straight, and then it goes into the sweeping bend here towards the tip. Now I'm going to try to make this limb match a little bit. I'm just going to put a little bit of a bend and a reflex right here on the tip. that's really all there is to straightening limbs on a bow. Anybody can do it with a few clamps and a cheap heat gun. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll have more bow building videos out soon.